At last I found it. A funny wire laundering, arrogant and moronic in equal regard. This video is about the couple who planned to launder billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and escape to Russia, but also wanted to become famous from rapping and writing articles in Forbes about the dangers of cybercrime. They thought they were so cool. That's my favorite part.
Moon and stars, moon and stars, 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 moon and stars.
This story starts 2,500 years ago, in 2016. It was hacked. Bitfinex was founded in 2012 and is a Hong Kong-based sister company to Tether, co-founded by Brock Pierce. Oh, there's one. Sharing the same parent company, iFinex Inc., which is registered in the British Virgin Islands, so you know it's legit. Bitfinex had previously been hacked in 2015, when 1,500 bitcoins had been stolen. They were worth about $400,000 at the time. But in 2016, Bitfinex announced that they had experienced a massive security breach where 119,754 bitcoins were stolen. The coins were worth about $72 million in what was the second largest security breach of a Bitcoin exchange. The coins were stolen directly from 2,000 separate digital wallets of users on the exchange. Bitfinex decided to socialize losses on the exchange, saying that they have experienced a generalized loss percentage of 36.067%. As a result, the value of Bitcoin entirely dropped 20%, though it later rebounded. Later, in May 2017, Bitfinex stated that all customers had been repaid for those losses, effectively by issuing IOUs to everyone on the exchange. The exchange somehow managed to avoid bankruptcy and user exodus, despite the stolen coins amounting to 57% of the Bitcoin deposit and damaging to many individuals. Fast forward to February 2022, when the US Department of Justice announced they had found where the stolen Bitcoins ended up. It turns out, all of them had been sitting in a single crypto wallet for 6 years. And honestly, next time can you just steal 120,000? That's a lot easier to say. Anyway, the just under 120,000 coins, worth $72 million in 2016, were now worth $4.5 billion. The coins had allowing the DOJ to begin tracking where they were coming from. On Tuesday, February the 8th, 20 tax sentence, and 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States of America, about $3.6 billion at the time of seizure. About 25,000 of the coins had either already been laundered or have yet to be seized. These remaining coins are estimated by the DOJ and are 34-year-old dual American-Russian who at the time of arrest lived in South Manhattan. It may seem as though they got away with things for 6 years, but really, they were doomed from the start. That's thanks to blockchain. The underlying technology behind Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies serves as a publicly available record of crypto transactions. There's a lot in intricate detail with indelible ink. If you write "murdered someone" in between billions of lines of "brushed teeth with 3 milligrams of toothpaste, stood for 14 seconds, sneezed twice," no one is going to find that until they get to really looking. As Tom Robinson, a co-founder of the blockchain analytics company Elliptic, speaking to Time magazine, said, "The problem with laundering cryptocurrency is if you make a mistake 5 years ago, that's still on the blockchain centralized bank account for crypto. They are unique to each user, but don't have to be linked to a person's real-world identity." But as well as offering anonymity, or something closer to it than regular bank accounts, they can also be susceptible to attack. Among all the articles, including the DOJ press release I've read about this, there's no information about whether Liechtenstein and Morgan were directly involved in the actual hacking of these coins. We know that they came into full possession of all the coins in the attack, but there's nothing to suggest that they did the actual hacking themselves. But we'll come back to this. Perhaps, if you're planning on laundering billions of dollars, you should keep a low profile. But what's being rich if you're not famous too?
Russell Khan, the Versace better win. Come real far, but don't know where I'm heading.
The couple met in San Francisco in 2014, where Liechtenstein became an advisor for a company. This company created email templates and offered advice on cold calling. Previously, Liechtenstein had co-founded a company in San Francisco called MixRank, a customer discovery platform, in which Mark Cuban was an investor. I think this is all worth mentioning because it shows you what their priorities were. Do decent people set up cold calling companies? I don't think so. I think, but Amish paradise it ain't. Public records show that the couple shared to Manhattan. Liechtenstein proposed to Morgan in June 2019. He just by filling New York with billboards and posters advertising her rap career.
What actually is Impasse?
Which is of course about facilitating security in crypto transactions, and thought leaders. Both of them wrote articles in various places: Forbes, Fortune, Inc., usually about crypto, how to be safe when using it, and how blah blah blah. Liechtenstein also briefly operated a Ron Paul fan site, and a business that sold brain-boosting supplements. Could have done with some of those. Yours now for a one-off payment of $7.95 bi-monthly, complete with a free Parker pen, just for inquiring, after postage. Morgan also sold NFTs of her album covers on an exchange for $600 each. One purchaser relisted their NFT almost immediately for $100,000, and then complained to the press that the NFT just disappeared from the blockchain. The couple also sold an anti-coronavirus supplement, basically orange juice. Anyway, I'm not telling you all this just to laugh at them. Not just that. They, especially Morgan, appear to have been under some sort of narcissistic delusion.
Streetwear fashion and a bunch of other stuff with surrealistic art.
Morgan styles herself as a self-made international economist, a counter-cybercrime extraordinaire, and a prolific investor she was not paid for, including 7 creativity secrets discovered through rap and business writing. Got burnout? This tech CEO thinks you should try rapping. Experts share tips to protect your businesses from cybercriminals. And my personal favorite, how to be a successful YouTuber in 2021. Online, Morgan wrote. Well, if you look hard enough, yeah, they are. In early 2017, small amounts of money began to exit the crypto, especially heroin and fentanyl, firearms, counterfeit merchandise, stolen ID documents, malware, toxic chemicals, and other fun things. By using this being traceable on the blockchain. With the UK, France, and several other nations. The couple then began routing money through a Russian marketplace called Hydra. 3 years later, as Bitcoin prices began to spike, they switched to Wasabi Wallet, a crypto wallet specifically designed to prevent tracing on the blockchain. According to Lisa O. Monaco, the US Deputy Attorney General on the case, the couple used a labyrinth of thousands of small crypto transactions under false names, automated by computer, to try and evade detection by financial watchdogs. But this was sort of made irrelevant because eventually, in their real names of Morgan and Liechtenstein, or companies owned by them. Then, the couple attempted to launder that money in some really ridiculous and easily trackable ways. For example, they purchased gold coins, NFTs, and gift cards from Walmart, Uber, Hotels.com, and PlayStation. The gift cards were linked to Liechtenstein's own email address. They were able to launder hundreds of millions of dollars this way, amounting to about 20% of the $4.5 billion worth of stolen Bitcoin, while the remaining 80% was still sitting in their Bitcoin wallet by January 2022. On February the 8th, 2022, Morgan and Liechtenstein were arrested at their Manhattan apartment. Reports show that the couple was aware they were being investigated as early as November 2021, when their internet service provider informed them that prosecutors had served a grand jury subpoena on the provider a year earlier, seeking records pertaining to them. Reports show that they were arrested by federal agents, a combined effort between the IRS, FBI, and interestingly, the DHS. Part of the investigation was performed by an IRS investigator who managed to decrypt a cloud storage account owned by Liechtenstein, where they found a spreadsheet with a list of the crypto wallets where the bitcoins had been transferred. Liechtenstein held the private keys for all of these accounts, and his spreadsheet listed some of the accounts as dirty. That's stupid. With US dollars and foreign currency, in case you forget what all these phones are for. 2 books with the inside, hardware containing crypto wallets, a file on the desktop of Liechtenstein's computer labeled Passport Ideas, which contained links to forums and websites that advertised fake passports. At one point, when the apartment was being searched, Morgan told investigators that she would fully comply with them if they allowed her to retrieve her cat, which was hiding under the bed in their bedroom. According to the DOJ filing, while Morgan was crouched next to the bed calling to the cat, she positioned herself next to the nightstand, which was still holding one of her phones. She then reached up and grabbed her cell phone from the nightstand and repeatedly hit the lock button. It appeared that Morgan was attempting to lock the phone in a way that would make it more difficult for law enforcement from her hands. Investigators also found encrypted drives containing evidence suggesting that the couple had made a trip to Ukraine in 2019 in order to setting up a contingency plan to move to Ukraine or Russia under false identities. In the couple's first court hearing, the night of their arrest, their individual lawyers requested bail, saying that they were not a flight risk because Morgan had frozen some of her embryos in NYC. Their lawyers also contended that Morgan being in jail presented a potentially grave health risk, had set bail at $5 million for Liechtenstein and $3 million for Morgan. Both bonds were secured by the homes of their parents, as well as multiple co-signers. But prosecutors asked a judge in Washington for an emergency delay to consider whether the couple should be released on bond, agreed, and stopped their release. Since then, a judge has agreed that Morgan can be released from jail if she awaits trial under house arrest, and to me, this is the most remarkable part of the story. Let me tell you why. This is the biggest theft in monetary terms in US history. Official statements have been very tight-lipped on who did the hacking and which agencies exactly were involved in the investigation. I want to make it clear that this is just conjecture on my part, but I think that with such an enormous sum being laundered, it isn't just a justice issue. To me, this smells like an intelligence matter. Not Morgan's intelligence. That doesn't matter. There is no matter. Matter, can't touch it. Ethereal intelligence. Is she dumb? Hushpuppi didn't know it at the time, but it was government-backed hackers in North Korea who were pulling the strings, and who he was laundering money for. Liechtenstein could have hacked the money, but it seems suspect that the laundering and the operational security of Morgan and Liechtenstein was false, but she is, well, if I'm going to be nice, highly susceptible to targeted manipulation. If you're stupid enough to think that you can take $4 billion and disappear into Russia without the US or the Russians or whoever noticing and wanting some, all of that, then it's inconceivable to me that they could just disappear in Russia or Ukraine without paying a heavy price to someone or another in some way or another. And so, Morgan's release pending trial doesn't read to me as a judge. Again, I'm not sure, but I think it's highly likely that it wasn't the IRS, DHS, FBI alone doing the heavy lifting. He was, and who know Morgan is far more likely to slip up under house arrest rather than on the "your calls are being recorded" jail phones. I also imagine that the co-signees of the bail bond will be thoroughly investigated too. I would guess, and perhaps even hope, that Morgan and Liechtenstein will never again utter any word without it being heard. If you know what I mean. I have to go now. Oh, and one more thing. Cheers, Brian.
That's it, razzle dazzle.